South African blues rock singer and songwriter and guitar wizard Kenny Hughes has been making waves through the local scene over the past year. Starting out as a looper musician, he set the bar to the next level with his custom kick drum and versatile guitar lines. Kenny's now touring South Africa with his trio and sharing his legendary sound, making crowds dance. A few weeks back, I had the honor of getting to chat with Kenny. We caught up about his debut at Aandklas in Pretoria, his latest single, Last Stand, produced by all-round powerhouse talent Evert Snyman. This is our chat. Awesome, lucky man. It's really nice to meet you in person, well, digitally in person.
Sort of in person. I mean, as close as we're going to get right now.
Yeah, totally, man. So, I watched an interview that you did with Groot Breakfast, and your start was at Aandklas, which I think is quite cool because this was actually taken at Aandklas. This is where the Grand Radio also got its start. So good things come out of Pretoria. Shout out to all the good people at Pretoria. So I just wanted to know, what was like the catalyst for you in that moment? What made you go fuck it, I'm gonna go to that open mic tonight, I'm doing this?
I don't know if you're familiar with a guy called Jordan de Zadenhout. He's a sound engineer. So he used to work at railways for a few years. In my opinion, one of the best sound engineers out there. Very young guy as well. Well, at the time, this is a few years ago. And so I used to play with a band. I used to be in a trio, but it was sort of, we were still finding ourselves. And Jordan came to me after one of our shows and he said, man, you know what, I love you, I don't love your band. I think you should try out an open mic night at Aandklas. And just bring your acoustic guitar and do what you do and see how it goes. I thought, hey man, well, let me give it a shot. What have I got to lose, right? And I went, I played, it was really, really cool. I got a taste of what it would be to be a solo musician, and I just fell in love. That was it for me.
That's fucking awesome, man. I'm really happy for you that happened. I wasn't actually familiar that you are a looping artist, which I think really speaks a lot to how you loop. Because I think a lot of times because looping is such a delicate balance, you've got to keep in time and you're playing another instrument at the same time. A lot of times I feel that artists, there's a lot of patience that goes into looping, but I think you so beautifully balance your layers that you're changing guitars in between and you're playing drums, and which I think is really great. So it's just amazing. Fucking round of applause for the parkour. So I wanted to know what got you into looping? What made you go oh, I can juggle while I'm running? What was that for you?
So this family friend of mine had a little Roland Cube amp that had a built-in looper, and it was laid on a chord progression. I practiced my soloing over it, and then a couple years when loop pedals were actually becoming a thing. So I thought I definitely have to get my hands on one of those. And I got one and I just started playing around with it. And like you said, timing is everything. So as long as everything you do is in time and on rhythm, it's going to sound fairly decent. And from there it was just hours and hours of playing around with the damn thing.
That's amazing, man. Where does the iconic Kenny Hughes suitcase kick drum come from? Is it something you made yourself, or was it something that you commissioned from someone?
So I was living in Bloemfontein for a little while, and I had a muso friend who was living there, and he saw me play for the first time when I went to open for Jeremy Loops in Bloemfontein. He told me, you know what, your show is really cool, but you need a kick, man. You need something that just keeps the rhythm the whole time to get people moving, because it's one thing for the musician to have the rhythm and know what's going on, but if you've got that solid thing, I still firmly believe that's why soulful music is as powerful as it is, love it or hate it. It's got a beat, man, and that beat is what gets people moving. And so he told me, you need like a kick drum of some sorts, and I think you should get a suitcase, because I told him I want to make a stomp box, just like a little box with a piezo pickup, whatever, just for a kick. He said, get yourself a suitcase and a kick pedal. It's going to be more comfortable, and it's cool. It looks cool. And so I have to credit Jody Peterson with that. He told me to get a suitcase. He actually also used one in his band. In his duo. And yeah, I just thought, yeah, that's a really cool idea. I've never thought of that. And since then, that's been a thing. And Jodie's girlfriend, Maureen, actually painted the use on my suitcase for me that I still use for, it's been probably about 4 or 5 years now I've been using that suitcase.
Apart from you've obviously got a loop pedal, you've got your suitcase kick drum, you've got your guitar. What are you packing on your pedal board currently?
So what's always been on my pedal board is a wah. I like a wah pedal. It gives me all sorts of cool effects. I use it as a tremolo pedal. I use it to do a bit of a percussive thing for certain songs, like the whole Voodoo Child intro thing. I can actually loop that, and that sounds really, really cool. And I obviously use it as a wah for solos, so that'll always be a staple on my pedal board. Now I've always had some sort of overdrive just to let my solos stand out a little, and I've always had some sort of delay just to. Albert Frost actually gave me really good advice. He said you need one pedal on your board that takes the sound to a whole different space, and for me that's always been a delay. So if you can do the tremolo thing with a wah with a delay, you can add so many cool effects. So I think those three will always be on my pedal board, along with a looper, obviously.
That's cool, man. So it's interesting that you mentioned Albert Frost with my next question, actually. I would just want to also just say, I think very much you are like the new gen Albert Frost and Aandklas in your own right. I don't mean as a copy. But I just think you understand blues as a sound and a guitar as an instrument so well that it's literally like in a different dimension. So just really great for that. What was your introduction to blues as a kid? Blues isn't really something that people just fall into, or it's not really something that gets played quite often. So for you, what was that first initial fuck, I want to do this is really great?
That's a good way of putting it. I grew up with the likes of Dire Straits, and Mark Knopfler's got a very bluesy vibe to most of his playing. You can definitely feel elements of the blues in his playing. But when I was a kid, every time I came across a full-on Delta blues type tune, I never knew what to call it, because I never knew there were different genres to music. I just knew there was music that I liked and music that I didn't like. And so every time a proper blues tune would come on, I'm like, that, what's that called? And it was only in my teens that someone actually told me, dude, that's called the blues, man. And that opened up a whole new world for me. And then I went down a vicious rabbit hole. I went down the likes of From Robert Johnson, Son House, Muddy Waters, even JJ Cale, BB King, all these guys. I was just, the floodgates were opened and I was just absorbing all of it. I don't know, my music has definitely evolved a little bit. I like to play a bit more on the funky side of things now, but blues will always be at the core of my play. There'll always be an element of the blues. Love it or hate it, it's here to stay,
So you worked actually recently with Evert Snyman. You guys have done a few projects together, which is Evert in his own right. He's also a phenomenal musician and just a fucking nice guy all around. So I just wanted to know,
first of all, Evert Snyman is ridiculous. Okay,
let's
just get that out the way. He is madness.
He's absolutely madness, and it's quite cool for me that you guys found each other, because I think you have so much complementary styles to each other. So how was it working with him? How was it?
Absolutely incredible. It's really, really incredible. Working with Evert is nuts, because he's a musical genius, really he is. So if you can walk into his studio with an idea of what your song's going to be, it's not going to end up sounding like that. It's going to come out completely different. But he keeps true to your structure, and he hears what you want to do. But then all these little elements that he adds, it's crazy, man. The fact that he's a multi-instrumentalist is an understatement, and his harmonies, his vocals in general are nuts. So even if it's not him singing on my songs, there are a few tracks here and there where he does a little vocal piece for me, just because I love his voice. But just his vocal coaching is also next level. This dude could coach idols, If there was a rock version of Idols, he could pull it off,
I think we need to do that. I think just to witness Evert being a vocal coach, we need to create rock and roll idols. And then we'll be
we can do it.
Fuck yes, man. We'll have a section of screamo, and then we can have some dark metal. Fucking awesome.
It's crazy because Evert can, yes, man. I'm trying to think of what the guy's name he mentioned. Man, it's on the tip of my tongue. This dude's got like this really deep but smooth voice, and Evert pulls it off so well. But then he also goes into the Dave Grohl range with his vocals. So Evert has got a crazy range, and I wish I had more time, because I don't live in Joburg anymore. I wish I had more time that I could just like spend a couple of weeks with Evert, and I could just properly steal some valuable pearls of wisdom from him, so to speak.
So I hear what to say. So how did that work? Were you here for gigs and then you kind of just rolled around studio time, or did you specifically come to Johannesburg to record?
So I knew I wanted to record with Evert, especially after 1920. 1920 was sort of a trial run for me with Evert, because it was my first time working with him, of course. And then after that, every time I felt like it was time to record another song, I would first book with him, check his availability, and then I'd plan a whole tour around that just to support it and fund the whole project and everything. So yeah, it's a bit of both. Evert came first. Pariah Studios came first.
That's awesome, man. So I know Evert himself is like really, how can I say, more like a analog purist at the sense, like he still records on tape cassettes and cuts it. So I'm wondering, for you personally, like, how do you feel about this modern movement that we're going in, where you've got like AI in music production, or like people moving to mostly just digital? Like, what is your preference and how do you feel about that?
So I think personally that the mistakes in your songs, right? No matter how well rehearsed a song is, there's going to be a mistake here or there. I believe that's what makes it natural. You know, that's what makes it relatable. The fact that, that note doesn't belong there, but now it does. This whole purist movement and everything. Look, don't get me wrong. Like, with AI as a tool, it is an incredible tool for generating new music. It definitely can be, but it's a fine line between a tool and a crutch. And yeah, I don't know. Personally, I'm an old school kind of guy. I will continue to record the way that Evert and I record, or you know, in a live band format, because that's even more pure for me. But yeah, I don't know. It's a very fine line. I don't think we must. Freddie Mercury said it best. He said, "There will come a time when technology gets to such an advanced position that talent wouldn't play as big of a role," and I don't think that's a good place to be. I think talent should still be the first and foremost, you know. I mean, it's not just talent that goes into being a musician. It's hours and hours and hours. And if there's a shortcut to cut out those hours, I don't agree with that.
So are there any like local artists that you're really like enjoying and that you think people should listen to more, or that you just like to give a shout out to?
Two of my biggest inspirations will always be Dan and Albert Frost. You know, they are just colossal in my eyes. So yeah, I don't think people ever give enough props to guys like that. But at Strab, I saw a lot of really cool talent. I've known about Bad Peter for a long time, and seeing them again this year at Strab, guys, just go check out Bad Peter. Those guys are incredible. Sea of Green really blew me away, because like I said, I'm leaning into the funk side of things. To me, Sea of Green was amazing. Tidal Waves have been giants for years now, but they freaking blew me away. That drummer was nuts. I don't know where they bred him out of, but holy shit, that guy's good. And then Apollo Motel, man. Apollo Motel, I'm personal friends with a couple of the guys in the band, and they're really, really good. They're really, really good. So yeah, I wish them nothing but real, genuine success, because they're worth it. You know, they really are.